Hey, Jacos, how you doing, man?
Hey, what's up, man? How you feeling?
Feeling good. Did you listen to the debate?
I saw like the first part of it, and then I had to jump on a Zoom call, so I didn't get to see the full debate. I wanna analyze that. How was Andrew Wilson? Was he respectful?
I'm the moderator, so I don't want to get into that. But I will say, it was. Do you remember, Jacosa? Do you remember the Gideon stipulation debate with his pastor and Sheikh Usman?
Yeah, that was. Oh yeah, Judeon and with his what is he doing? Jewish celebrations.
Yeah,
Yeah, I
he's
remember that dude.
celebrating Hanukkah. Yeah. I mean, it's okay. We don't want to say negative things, but this debate was identical. We just ended up talking about. We just stipulated the whole time, and then we didn't actually get to discuss stuff.
Wait, how did it end? Did you guys just like end the debate because you couldn't be cordial?
It was getting, yeah, I would say it was getting a little bit childish, and there were
Oh wow.
some ad homs and stuff like this, but yeah, it was going nowhere. So
Okay, so I gotta say this: the first argument for Andrew was ridiculous. I can't even lie. Okay, I love Andrew Wilson. He's a G, but I think that first argument was a little weird in the way he expressed it. I have to watch the whole debate. It's a little weird if you talk about like penis sizes and stuff. I don't know. That was a little odd.
I didn't. I gotta admit, I didn't expect that, and I was moderator, so I'm like, I'm gonna be fair. When I saw him bring out the
Yeah.
ruler and a bullet, I started laughing, but
I
yeah.
swear to God, bro.
But you don't
I
need
was
to watch the rest of it
crying.
because it went in circle. If you saw the first half, that was the whole thing.
Yeah, like it was. I'm talking about entertainment value. That was fantastic. Like even just the beginning was absolutely entertaining. I have to like dive into it to see the actual logistics of the conversation to see, just in my opinion, who won. I just got off the phone with Warner and Waze. When you were calling me, I was on the phone with Warner. Wait, Warner's. Well, I don't want to. I guess I don't want to speak for him, but it is true. Lately, Andrew Wilson has been a little wild on Twitter. Like I don't really support like the absolute disrespect of another religion. I don't support that. So like I think a lot of what he says on Twitter is not cool, but I do support him as a debater. He's a fantastic debater. I don't know what went on today, but I have to go back and watch that.
You saw
I
it.
mean, entertainment value. This is great.
Yeah, you saw it pretty much.
Oh, I did. That's pretty much what it was the whole time.
Yeah, you got it. Also,
Oh
I don't
my
know if you know,
god.
but Muhammad Ali's in the call.
Yeah,
Yeah. Oh, how you doing, sir?
I'm okay. How are you? I know actually
I'm
you
good.
can watch because there was an opening statement of him, and then I did rebut his opening statement a bit, and was getting into my position, but the time was over, and then he just did not want then a time for each. He wanted to just kind of talk over because I brought this point multiple times. You can say that's biased. You can watch and then see how it was. He didn't want each one to have his own time. He said, I'm going to avoid his questions. I said, I'm going to answer your questions in my own time. That's fair. Have your time. I have my time. He didn't want me to speak about Christianity when it comes to a
So
position on the age of consent. He said, I'm not allowed to do that.
the only thing I would say, Muslim Lantern, Andrew Wilson is known for being chill, respectful, chill, like calm. Like I know his words are aggressive, but his temperament is cool. So it did seem a little crazy in the beginning, like for the first 10 minutes, talking about, hey, don't say anything offensive, because especially if, for example, I had a conversation with SNEAKO about this before. The truth hurts,
I DM
right?
J Dyer.
Sometimes the truth hurts according to our perception of what truth is. So when we say as Christians the truth of what we believe, let's say we believe Muhammad is a false prophet. Let's say, would you find that to be disrespectful?
No,
Saying he's a false. Okay, so things like that are not disrespectful
no.
to you.
And that's why I was
Okay.
clear. If you say Prophet Muhammad was a false prophet and then give your reasoning for why he was, that's what a discussion is, right? I don't have an issue with that.
Okay.
My
Would you
issue
say?
is
Oh,
what
I'm
he
sorry.
was
Go ahead.
doing, which maybe you've not seen in the debate. Talk about a specific body part of the prophet. What was the size of? How is that related to the
Yeah, that
discussion?
was a little. That was a little
Like,
crazy. I'm not gonna.
not only in the
That's like
beginning, he did that in the end, and then he said, "I'm refusing to answer his question." Oh, was it the average Arab size? Whatever. So like, this is just a childish behavior, and I didn't expect that from
It's
him,
funny.
right?
It's entertainment value. Like he definitely brought the entertainment with that. I thought that was hilarious.
I know, but Jacosa, Jacosa,
I wanted to also
hold
Yeah,
up. The whole purpose of the debate was to actually have a real discussion about these topics. It was not for entertainment value, and that's exactly why I don't like religious debates. Is because it gets to like this, like who can get a clip moment. It's a show, right? It becomes like Knicks versus the Lakers, and it becomes a spectacle, right? And religion should not be a spectacle. It should be something. It's very serious.
You're dodging Jay.
No. I just said for him to DM me. Like I DM'd him my Discord, so we can add him now. Also, Andrew Wilson just tweeted. I'm gonna show it on. Well, I'll just read it. Actually, let me share it so you guys can see.
Hey, SNEAKO, I debated Young Don today.
Oh, how'd it go? About the Trinity?
No. Well, I mean, I would love to debate him on that, but I actually debated him on marriage because basically he was pointing out a verse in the scriptures saying that if a man divorces a woman on the grounds of adultery, let's say she cheats on him and he divorces her, he believes that a man cannot remarry. My position, based on the scriptures, is that a man can remarry as long as the divorce is based on adultery or death. Death ends the marriage and adultery will end that contract. But he's misinterpreting this one verse and making it seem as if a man who is innocent, an innocent mate in a marriage, cannot remarry if the other mate commits adultery and breaks the contract. I'm on the position that he can remarry. And, so we had a little debate on Myron's Space today. It was really, really informative. I mean, people were taking both sides. But
yeah, there's a couple things I disagree with. Well, I spoke to Young Don. He said when we were talking about the shirk versus gay thing, and Young Don said that you can't be gay and be a Christian, which is just not true. You can be gay and be a Christian. That's the argument for that is like being gay is a bad sin, but then you could be a sinner and still be a Christian because everybody sins, right? And I asked him like, what if you're an alcoholic? He's like, an alcoholic can't be a Christian. Well, then how far are you going to go with the sins? Like if you curse, can you not be a Christian? If if you've messed up before, if you've like stolen a bar of candy, are you not a Christian anymore? Okay, but there's two things I want to address. Three things. Told Jay to DM me so we can set it up right now. Okay, everyone's saying I'm ducking. Let's do it right now. Two, I got a $400 donation just now, the biggest donation I think in a year, and that's going right to Chris.
Wow.
So Chris from Rumble, dinner on me. Action1125 says, why is SNEAKO muting Christians? Why, if this was set up with the defense position, are you pretending it was two-way on both topics? Andrew would have prepped for two-way. You could see it on SNEAKO's face. I don't know what you're talking about. Okay, we said Age of Consent and Trinity. I didn't know that it was going to be attack defense. I've never seen it like it's like we're doing football drills where you pretend to. I didn't think it was going to be a pretend debate where you pretend to not be a Christian for one. I thought we were going to talk about what we believe in, right? Andrew Wilson publicized that he's a Christian. His name on Twitter has Christ in it. So I was assuming that he was a Christian and he would argue from a Christian position because he is. I would never expect Muslim Lancer to be like, okay, today I'm going to argue as an atheist. That's ridiculous to me. If I was mistaken upon that, if you expected that, then we disagree. Two, Andrew Wilson tweeted just now. It's on screen. He said, so they lied, refused to argue without using fallacies, and don't understand basic logic. I took the hardest position for Christians to defend and made sure it wouldn't have fallacious arguments of what about you for maximum good faith. Unreal.
Can I just make a comment on that? He says he took the position for position for Christians to defend.
What a
He didn't
comment!
even get to the Trinity. I don't know what he's talking about, right? He chose the age of marriage consenting, and I agreed, even though I told him that's not even an argument against Islam. And that's how I refuted his whole segment. Because I made the 3 points to demonstrate why his point is, or his argument is not even something that disproves Islam. So if this is an Islam versus Christianity debate, he's lost. But he knew that it's not an Islam versus Christianity, and he tried to make it his personal position versus this. But I saw something interesting in the tweets. Look, what someone told him, which is a point I made multiple times. Do you realize you can't ask a person to defend a topic that is tied to morality? There's an underlying morality that is the basis of the argumentation. So where you derive the morality from, the objective morality, which is what the point that I was making for him. If you ask someone to substantiate why is it moral to have X, you can't argue without morality defined. So the argument I was making is, okay, where do you derive morality from? Because your argument is X action is immoral, what the Prophet did. So we have to agree first. Where do you define morality? How do you define morality? Where do you source it from? So I said to him, that has to be done. And that's why I wanted to present the Christian position of morality on the idea of the age of marriage and age of consent. So if he's
Now,
a Christian,
to his defense, the reason why Andrew Wilson said that is because recently there was a debate between Destiny and Andrew Wilson, and they were debating on how debating works. So his point was that you can refute someone's argument without having a position on it. So, without having your own position. So I think that's what he was doing. Because you were forcing him to have a position on the morality of it when he just wanted to refute your position on it. He didn't want to have a position.
I agree. And there's a reason he did that, because he knows he has a losing position from a belief perspective. But the thing is, you cannot just say...
Maybe.
But what he was saying, by the way, is not what you're saying. It's not that I wanted him to
I don't think it's because he doesn't have, because he has
his friend of Jay Dyer.
I think he doesn't want you to get distracted, because I noticed that a lot of Muslim Christian debates, sometimes, like from a Christian standpoint, Muslims will focus on the Christian perspective and not focus on their own stance. So he was trying to force you and put you in a corner to address your stance on it. And I do notice that is like a tactic. I mean, it's a good tactic, but instead of like speaking on your own stance, you'll deflect to the other person's stance. Like, oh, well, what's the Christian viewpoint on it? And then it'll take away from the conversation. He's trying to hold you down and say, speak on what you believe.
And Jacosa, that's what he addressed two things. Like, one thing I want to point out for the Christians as moderator, Muslim Answer at first he said that there's no harm allowed in Islam. He said marriage is allowed after puberty, and then he brought up Christian. So he defended the position because like he was just under this assumption that it was going to be attack defense. He defended his position and then he questioned his. He did both. He addressed. I
didn't mention Christianity even in my segment. I first responded to his argumentation that he made in his opening statement, and second, I was making my position as a Muslim. I was saying, okay, I believe one, I believe two. I didn't even get to Christianity. But the thing is, he was not saying what you're saying, Jacosta. He was saying that I don't get to talk about Christianity. It's not that he doesn't have a position. He said in that
but weren't
segment,
you trying to? But in his defense, weren't you trying to, based on what you're saying now, trying to get him to kind of clamp down on the Christian stance on morality? Weren't you trying to get him to say it?
No, I was doing the following. First, I'm going to defend Islam. Any point that he would make, I will respond to it. And I told him, when we have the time, ask your question and respond to it. So I'm going to defend Islam, number one. Number two, I'm going to present how what he's attacking is hypocritical because his own belief is the same thing he's attacking.
Well, that's the thing. See, that's what he's saying. You're focusing on his belief and how
things. Why you leave it number one? I'm just telling you, I'm going to defend Islam, right? It's Islam versus Christianity. You cannot tell me don't talk about the Christian position regarding the issue.
Because then he can, and that's the point. That's why I'm telling you.
No, but that's what he believes.
With Destiny on this.
Exactly. Well, no, yeah, that's his position. I don't agree with it. I don't agree with that position.
But that's the thing. Like that's why he's trying to make it clear from the start. I have a defense position, and then on this topic, I have an offensive position, so we can go into it with the right mindset. So you don't. So that I'm gonna be frank, so that you don't just like deflect back onto him, which is what you're doing now. Like I'm not gonna talk about my position because you're a hypocrite and your Christian viewpoint. It's like now you're.
I didn't say that though.
Okay,
but that makes no sense because I told you I responded to his point first. So I cannot deflect when I'm already responding to your arguments.
Did you give your position fully on your stance on morality of, let's say, marriage and child marriage?
Yeah. So he made points in his opening statement. I rebutted them from an Islamic point of view. Okay, number one, and you can watch later if you like. Second thing I was doing is giving my position before the time ended. So I had points for what my Islamic position is. And the time ended, SNEAKO told me, okay, it's enough, you had the same time, so I couldn't finish on this specific point. You'll see in the debate. So I did not even bring up Christianity. So to try to say that I'm trying to do whataboutism when I've never even mentioned anything to do with Christianity is just absurd. With all respect. Yeah, get whoever you want to get. I don't mind. Like, well, look, we're not scared of anyone. But you got this guy, I thought he's going to be the Christian defender, but apparently it did not seem so. And then you can bring someone else that the chat is happy with. So we don't want them complaining too much later.
There are people in the chat are saying that it's stupid, but I've never heard someone say that they're arguing a position without having a. How could you attack a position without having a position? Does that no? Let me I've never seen that in a debate. Have you seen that before?
Well, in any formal debate or any debate that happens in which every person has his own time, you cannot place conditions on the individual speaking about your own faith and position. If this is Islam versus Christianity, you got to have a case to defend, right? What he wanted to do is to only defend the Trinity, right? But no, there are many Christians who try to say that the Trinity is in Islam. By the way, many, including Sam and all of these guys that the Christians keep mentioning in the comments. They did many times try to do that. So you can try to do that. You can try to bring the Quran and show how the Quran actually has the Trinity too on any of the stances. You can do that if you want. No one is holding you from saying anything.
Andrew's wife
Plus,
is in this
I just want to remind the people of something very important, right? If whoever rewatches the discussion, you're going to see that the points that he brought up in his own timing, I rebutted them in the timing that I started. Right? He was making all this argument about like the pre-pubis and this, and I responded, Aisha was not. So all your argument about the Prophet doesn't work there anyways, because all of it is about something which isn't true. Secondly, I also responded with, if there is a true, like he said, harm happening from the intercourse, then Islamically that's haram. So that you don't have, that's not something that we would call moral. Therefore, you don't have an argument there to begin with. So I did respond to what he was saying. He tried to pretend that I didn't, but I did. And I would be happy to respond to any questions that he brought forward, but...
Yeah, I think that question was pretty unnecessary. What side?
No, of course, you know what he was trying to do, by the way, right? You know what he was trying to do. And some people might not know this, but I've already been told by some of my followers, they saw him made the stream, preparation for the stream. And he literally said, I'm going to try to get him, not to be, to have his composure, get him angry. And this. That was, he thinks I've not dealt with that before or something, 24/7 about people who are like completely not, have zero manners and screaming and shouting and interrupting. I deal with them every day. He thinks that he's going to make me lose my composure by trying to make these insinuations. Mm-hmm. It's really sad to see. But yeah, I think people can tell the difference.